Here we are with my pink-lipped friend. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks, John. How are you?
This week, how good the Gold Stars get the win in a nail-biter, and also we're going to talk to some Colts players as part of the Hasting Series Colts competition. What do you got, pink boy?
Sammy Costa from the Burleigh Bears on the weekend brought up 100 games in the Hostplus Cup and talks about the new arrival in his family.
All right, back soon.
Yes, as mentioned, I'm joined here by Big Sammy Costa, the lock forward for the Burleigh Bears, recent 100-game player, and dad again. It's all happening for you,
yes.
Sam.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty big week this week. Had a baby son on Tuesday and then rolled into 100th game for Burleigh on Saturday, so it was a good week.
Yeah, so talk me through it. 64 points to 10. I guess 100th games, they don't get much better than that.
No, I did not expect that at all. East are a pretty quality side and they had some quality players in there. But, yeah, the boys certainly turned one on for me and also shared the day with our halfback guy Hamilton as well, who played his 100th Queensland Cup game.
Yeah, pretty special occasion. And the club obviously, they did a lot to recognise how momentous that really is for you blokes. How special is that when the club also finds the time to make sure everyone knows how important it is and they really get around you?
Yeah, it's good. They certainly made us felt like it was a big occasion for us. Did a few little videos during the week for both me and Guy, and then on game day we had a few jersey presentations and that. So yeah, it was nice. They made it really special for us.
Yeah, nice, mate. Well, probably the bigger of the two, I don't know, it depends how much of a footy fan you are, but the bigger of the two news coming out of your camp this week is a beautiful little baby boy, mate. So how's life settling in as a father of two?
Yep, baby Ovi. Yeah, good. Not much downtime, that's for sure. But no, good. So far, so good. He's sleeping pretty well, and our eldest daughter has adjusted pretty well to being a big sister. So it's good,
mate. It's a different world, two kids, different world. You wait till it kicks in. It's it's good fun, mate. The second kid was the one that sent me off to get the snip. Are you following my footsteps? Are you going to go to the vet and get fixed, or you want some more?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty happy with two. So I think, I might be booking in sooner rather than later.
Who makes the call, you or the missus?
Me, but I think she's on the same opinion actually. So no arguments there.
Yeah, good, mate. Get it booked in, get it sorted. You don't want any drama. Oh, so mate, it's pretty taxing on the body to play Hostplus Cup level. Everybody knows how hard it is, but you also have the full-time job. So explain to us, what's your daily routine look like at the moment so people get an understanding of how hard it is really to be a full-time worker, a semi-professional football player, and then a dad?
Yeah, so pretty much probably wake up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, start work at 6:30, and then roll through to about 3 o'clock and then head down to training for about a 5:30 start, and then probably don't get home from training, which is about 3 nights a week, till about 8 o'clock. So it's pretty hard if you've got a family, that's for sure. I'm lucky to have a good wife who holds it down at home 3 nights a week for me while I'm at training. But, that's sort of Tuesday, Thursday when we're not training, just come straight home after work and try and make the most of the family time that you do have.
Yeah, mate, it's a pretty tough gig, and it's very admiring. And blokes like yourselves and all the fathers out there playing in the Hostplus Cup to put that time aside and put time aside for the club, but also for the family, mate. So we recognise the hard work and just thought I'd give you a little shout out there while we could talk about it.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it,
mate. While we're on the subject of the Burleigh Bears and the club, big clash this weekend against the Falcons. Top of the table clash. What have you spoken about this week about the Falcons in particular?
We haven't done too much on them yet, to be honest. We sort of had training last night and then just did a review from the weekend and did a bit of recovery and got the body fresh. But, tomorrow night when we got training, we'll definitely start looking at them and looking at our own game and what we want to do, because we know they're a quality side, and it's up at Sunny Coast as well. So we've got to go up there and try and leave with the chocolates, which is no easy feat.
Well, it's about a 3-hour round bus trip, isn't it, from Burleigh all the way up there?
Yeah. No, it's not a short trip, and we'll be going up on the day of the game. So, and as you said, they're a quality side. So it's definitely going to be the biggest game of the year for us anyway.
Yeah, it's a salivating clash. I'm really looking forward to watching that one on the weekend on qplus.tv. Speaking of big clashes, another fellow New South Welshman at Origin time, how good is it to get stuck into these cane toads on a daily basis?
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah, there's plenty of Queenslanders in the Burleigh team at training, so I'm sure at training tomorrow night there'll be a lot of banter between the New South Welshmen and the Queenslanders, but I think we'll be right. I reckon we'll whitewash them this year, 3-0.
Well, yeah, I'm confident too. I think we'll have them smoked, have them shot. But being that close to the border, are there plenty of turncoats in that side that maybe switched over to the Maroons when they were winning a few games? Or because I reckon if there's ever going to be a turncoat, it's someone that lives right on the border at the Gold Coast.
Not that I know of, but I was hoping that the 2 kids I could actually go down to Tweed Hospital and have them so that they were born in New South Wales, but unfortunately couldn't do that. Had to go to your sort of local hospital, but well.
Mate, I reckon I would have got that over the line with my missus, but I couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't convince her to travel from Redcliffe down to Tweed Heads. That was a no.
Yeah.
So.
A little bit too far, isn't it?
Yeah, we would have had a baby on the highway, but it wouldn't have mattered as long as it was in New South Wales. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy. Well, mate, you were one of the first on our show, and you're back and supporting us again. So thanks very much. Good luck with the whole dad thing going on in your life and the football this weekend, mate. So thanks very much for your time, and good luck on the weekend.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Sammy looked a bit tired, mate.
Well, you think running around after one kid's hard. You throw another one in the mix, and it just.
We mentioned it last week, a new baby on the thing, and he'd be really loving his football right now, getting out of the house.
Well, when you're winning games like that, it comes pretty easy to enjoy it. Speaking of winning football games and enjoying yourself, you caught up with a young Colt from the Blackhawks.
Yeah, we're going to start doing some more stuff for the Hastings Series Colts competitions after the BMD Premiership finished up last weekend. We caught up with the Townsville Blackhawks. They are on top of the table. This is a top of the table clash with the Capras, and I caught up with their captain in Cameron Bateup, and here he is live from his car. Can you believe it? This is what we do at Queensland League Scene.
What car does he have?
Hey, I was inside. I could see some footprints on the roof, though. Hasting Deering's Colts competition is well and truly underway, and sitting on top of the ladder, Townsville Blackhawks, and their captain, Cameron Bateup, joins me live from, well, he might be in the drive-in or he might be in a drive-through. How are you, Cam?
Good, mate. How are you? Just at work, waiting out the front.
Perfect. Let me ask you, how long have you been with the Blackhawks, mate?
Since I played under 16, so what, 5 years?
Okay.
I've been coming through the grades, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you're on top of the ladder. Last weekend's game against the Capras.
Okay. Cutters.
Sorry?
Cutters.
Yeah. A close game, mate. Half-time you led, and all of a sudden they came back.
Yeah, it was. They always turn up. We sort of expected them to turn up, but we just made it hard. We didn't. They just got the jump on us at the start, I guess, and yeah, we ended up getting the win. Really don't know how, but yeah, we got it done. 16-12
at half-time. Is there always that thing between the northern clubs that makes it a little bit more, like they have it down here in Brisbane, Brisbane Tigers and Wynnum and all that sort of stuff? Is it the same sort of thing with the Pride, Capras, Cutters and Blackhawks?
Yeah, I feel like we're not hated, but I feel like we're always the team that Pride and Mackay want to beat. So they always turn up against us. So we always got to be on the top of our game. And on the weekend, we nearly weren't.
And you've played against these guys over the last few years, obviously in different competitions?
Yeah. So last year and the year before, so nearly every game I've played against them, it's been proper hard.
I could be wrong here. You're a redhead?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself in the sin bin a lot more than other players?
I did this year, actually. Never before, but I did a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what was going on. Yeah.
Guilty or not guilty?
I don't know. Probably not guilty. Never.
Not guilty. Fair enough. Hey, the rivalry continues this weekend. You're up against the Capras 4:00. Have you been in the Colts? Did you play them last year, or was this your?
I was injured, so last year I got a shoulder recon, and I didn't play them because we played them earlier in the year. But Yeah, they're doing really well this year, so it'll be a real good game.
You got a target on your back, the old Blackhawks, the many Blackhawks.
Yep.
Do you feel that pressure every game?
I feel like it's there. We just try not to think about it, because a lot of the time when you think too much about what could happen does happen.
Yeah. Well, it's a top of the table clash, isn't it?
Yeah, 1 and 2. Yep. They were first and they just got beaten by Wynnum. So yeah, they'll definitely want to get back there.
All right. What do you need to do better this week to not have to go into the sheds and cop a spray?
I think just playing together. On the weekend, we're just doing a lot of one out, just unforced errors. So just this week we got to work together and get to our points and build pressure. And yeah, we should come over the top hopefully.
All right. And let me get this with Townsville. Do you have players who've got to drive a long way to get to training?
Nah, not really. So, there's one kid in our team that lives in Burgin, so an hour is the furthest.
Okay, you should just give him a lift, mate. You got plenty of room in the back of that car.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's a few body parts. The Blackhawks as well, mate. It's an iconic club. They've been in the competition for probably 8 years now. Sit on top of the table, obviously halfway through the season. What's been your best win so far here for the Benny Blackhawks? Good win last week to come back, I suppose.
Sorry?
Good win to come back last week, I suppose. Maybe one.
Yeah, that was probably good. But I'd probably say, well, me personally, the round 1 against Wynnum, just because they beat us in the grand final last year. So yeah, it was good to finally get them. So yeah, that was probably my fondest memory, I reckon, this year.
The Clydesdales, mate, you gave them a bit of a touch up here with 50 plus, I think you put on them. Are the Clydesdales, from what all reports, just big-bodied men who probably eat antelope for breakfast and, they're big boys? They
sort of feel like they're just big countrymen, eh? They're just, I don't know, I guess they just need a bit more coaching. But they're still there. This is their first year in the comp, Clydesdales, I think.
A couple of years, but they're raw. Yeah,
they are raw, and they'll get better. They just need to stick together.
Well, why I ask that is because of the rural stuff, regionally. Toowoomba, Townsville, Capras, all that sort of stuff. Is this something about their big body people? So I reckon the Ford clash against the Clydesdales, the Capras, and the Pride are just a bunch of mountain men grunting and going at each other.
Yeah, every game there's always them 2 or 3 big players, and I'm not lucky enough to be one of them, so I just got to work a little bit harder. But it's good. It's good having the boys around me. They work well, so I always just feed off them.
All right. Well, there's no better place than Mansky Oval. Obviously, that's your home ground, but you're up against the Capras. 1-2, mate. Listen, all the best to yourself. I always predict when I interview players for the first time from that club, I'm going to put my neck out and say that Cameron Bateup is the player of the year for Colts in the Hasting Series competition in Townsville. Am I right?
Oh, it'll be nice. Hopefully.
What do you win up there if you win the title? Just a trophy and
I think it's a trophy and a bit of money. I'm honestly not too sure. So it'd be nice.
Bit of money. No, Happy wouldn't part with any money.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's kidding themselves there? Anyway. All right, then, Cameron Bateup, thanks for your time. You're the captain of the Blackhawks, mate. You sit on top of the table. Hastings during Colts, the futures players are running around today. So thanks for your time, buddy. I'll let you get into this afternoon's workload.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Good on you, Cam. Thanks, mate. All right, thanks to Cam Bateup, mate. A redhead and disappearing hairline there for old Cam, but I'm sure he's going to be fine, mate. This weekend, going to roll through the fixtures of the Hastings Deerings competition this weekend.
As mentioned, the Hastings Deerings Colts competition can be fully live streamed on qplus.tv, so all of these matches can be found there. If you're bored on the weekend, if you want to watch some great rugby league, make sure you tune in. These are the stars of tomorrow. First, the Jets will take on the Seagulls at North Ipswich Reserve. Then the Clydesdales will take a game out to Oakey against the Magpies. Falcons and the Bears will face off at Sunshine Coast Stadium. Of course, the Pride and the Devils are at Burleigh Park in Cairns. Cutters v Dolphins in Mackay. Capras v Blackhawks in Rockhampton. And then that match of the round, the prelude, will be the Tigers and the Seagulls at BMD Cougar Oval.
All right, as we go to where, we don't know. We're just on the eve of State of Origin and the Maroons. The Maroons is a book written by Rob Burgin. He's part of the Brazil Rugby League over there. He used to be part of the QLS. Used to play for the West Brisbane Panthers. Loves his rugby. He's a great author. And we're going to talk to him about his book called The Maroons. He's actually got a copy for us to give away. So here's Robbie.
All right, as we go to where, the Maroons are getting ready in Sydney. They are playing tonight. And if you want to know all about the Maroons, I'm going to ask this man, the author, Rob Burgin, about the title of his book. But a very good morning to you, Rob.
Thanks for having me, John. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Always, yeah, exactly right. This time of year, there's nothing like it in rugby league, is there?
No, mate. And I've actually got 5 guys from Brazil staying with me from our Brazil Rugby League team. And this is going to be the first time that they've watched Origin live. And for me, it's added a whole other dimension to the day. We're going out later to buy jerseys and polos for everyone. So it's going to be a great day.
You've played rugby league since you were about 10. You've only just recently given it away. What's your earliest memory of Origin?
Earliest memory of Origin was actually my parents weren't into sport at all. And they actually discouraged me from how much I used to be into sport. So I had this little transistor that I secreted away, and I used to put it under my pillow and listen to it with the volume right down so I could remember the games. And actually, when I was writing the Maroons, I spoke to some of the others who listened to games only on radio as children, and how it created this whole other mental imagery to what was actually taking place. And I think it's probably part of the reason I fell in love with rugby league so much is because I envisioned it all in my head, and I could imagine Mal Meninga crashing into people and Sam Bacco, giving it to other guys on the field. And when I watched the games, it was kind of funny to know that it didn't happen quite the way I imagined, but it wasn't too far apart. It was nice.
Well, it's interesting. They say movies are better than the book, or the book's better than the movie. So the correlation is there, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So your first,
and it's funny because some of the big players like Steve Jackson, who played a big role in Origin, he said he never watched a game on TV as a kid, was always on the radio. And funnily enough, his dad was a mad punter and always used to go for New South Wales because he thought they dominated all the pre-Origin years, and he'd win a stack of money by putting his money on the Blues. So a bit of a strange upbringing for a Maroons legend.
Well, of late they'd be doing all right. Now the book, The Maroons, mate. This is not your. We'll get to it. This is not your first time. You've played rugby league. You've done a bit of boxing, and an author as well. What got you into putting pen to paper?
I've always just liked creative expression, whether that's performing on the field or performing with a book or whatever sort of form it is, and I like that divergence. I won a grand final with West Mitchelton 1 week before I won a Queensland Scrabble competition. So I've always liked that the geek and the jock kind of breaking the stereotypes a little bit.
All right then. Now, as I say, you've written other books, but the Maroons. Now, this isn't just about the actual game itself. We talk about the correlation between movie and a book. You dig a lot deeper than the actual between the try lines, don't you, with the players and what's become a culture basically in the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people reference the book Legacy with the All Blacks and how they brought about a culture of its own. And I wondered if I dug deep enough, if I could find out what really motivated all the Queensland players and what epitomises that spirit that we have. I'm not so much interested in recounting the games of old or who scored the most tries or the most points, but I want to know about, who overcame huge adversity as children, or for those who did come from quite stable families, what it was that their parents taught them that put them in good stead for the future. So in the Maroons, I'm basically looking at all the formative experiences before the ages of, say, 18 to 20 and how the guys collectively responded to that. So that's a big focus. And then also at the same time, by mere fact of putting together every single player that played for the state, you kind of see how the state of Queensland itself emerges over different decades. You've got Sam Bacco out with his mother on the street, handing out pamphlets so the Indigenous people could get the right to vote. You had, I think it was, I'm trying to think of the name, from Emerald, the winger, McIndoe. So he was saying when he was a boy, he was actually discouraged from playing sports with Indigenous guys because he wanted to go do boxing, and they said, no, don't do that. You know, all the Indigenous kids box, so you're better off going to the rugby league club. And to see how those, those attitudes changed in time, and now obviously, you know, Jonathan Thurston, Greg Inglis, some of our most famous and revered stars, and, you know, including right back to Artie Beetson from that background. So I think it's fascinating to see the way that Queensland itself changed as the players and attitudes changed as well.
Rugby league or any sport, I think it's vital for young men, especially in areas that you said, in remote areas, not to give them something to do, but also to build a reliance on each other, I suppose, what would you call, motivation to get out of bed in the morning and to do something for the man standing next to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, I guess, that didn't have guidance as children, and rugby league became that stabilising force and that friendship group that they really needed. There is a quote by Wayne Bennett when he's speaking about, it was Wendell Saylor in particular, but it applies to a lot of folks in the game. And he says, you know, I deal with people experiencing abandonment most days of my career. Yeah. And if you look back, you do find, you know, sadly, that is an underlying factor in a lot of the Maroons, and so is personal tragedy. I think when I did the stats about, it's roughly twice the normal rate of experiencing trauma, such as in the death or disability or incarceration of a close family member during childhood. So for me, that was one of the really important things I wanted to bring out in this book, is that, you know, they're my heroes, they're your heroes, they're most boys, if you grow up, or girls, if you grow up in Queensland, they're your heroes, but they've actually been through some quite significant challenges. And if you scratch the surface, there's probably some things every single person can relate to. Some of the guys were bullied at school. Some of them experienced the suicide of a close family member, things that, you know, we all have to come up against at some stage. And I felt that rather than trying to preach to people directly about what they should do, that if they read someone that they can relate to, they can see a path forward. And so as much as it's a rugby league book, I'd like it to be a 14-year-old kid who's struggling to make sense of things and picks up the book because he loves footy, and all of a sudden he's got some inspiration there, or she's got some inspiration.
Yeah, it is exactly that. And I think the wonderful thing about rugby league is, because I don't want to get into a culture or a code war with rugby union, but I just find that rugby league reaches the grassroots of people who really do struggle in life, and they have this opportunity. And rugby league is everywhere. It's played in country Queensland. It's played all over Australia. We just don't know about it, but it just sort of has that that aura about it, rugby league, that the working class man just is attracted to, if you know what I mean. You know, it's not we want to know where you came from, like in your book, but we also want to know why you've become who you are with this game. It's just, it's like I said, I don't want to get into a class war, but it just seems that rugby league touches people who have struggled more than perhaps the other sports of hockey and rugby union maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And introduces you to people of different cultures or different walks of life that you may not have interacted with.
Most certainly. Well, so it's a wonderful book. Now, the Maroons, or is it the Maroons? How do you? It's an
I've always pronounced it the Maroons. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just wonder technically. Now, your book, just quickly, I've seen some posts. It's been spotted in different parts of the world, mate. This must be really, really hair on the back of your neck sort of stuff to see your book in some of the shelves that are around the world.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's in all the big W's and Targets and QBDs throughout Queensland, and then some other specialty stores in New South Wales. But I have sold books to, I think, India, to Argentina. I'm pretty sure there was one like Iceland or something like that. So it's quite strange
how
spread out it is. And also, I've met some people that are, you know, like motivational speakers, etc., and they're interested in what it is that captures the Queensland spirit, because they can apply that to business people. And that's really interesting, is moving in those circles that I never really considered when I was writing the book.
Most certainly. And I just saw a post the other day from Matthew Johns about that. Obviously, they can't sell out down in New South Wales, and the caption is, we just don't get it. And I know we haven't got, which we had all day to talk about, right? How can we why are we us and they're them? Is it a silver spoon? We've been the greatest all along. We're superior to Queensland. And that's what drives us to pump them. What do you put it down to?
I've got two pretty strong thoughts on this. And one is because Queensland, until recently, only had a population of like 3 million people, I think, when State of Origin started. So, in most walks of life, they say you have 7 degrees of separation. I think everyone in Queensland probably has 3 degrees of separation from an Origin player. You probably know someone who knows someone who is best mates, or, in my case, I grew up in the same team as Sean Burgin, and we had guys like Fatty Vaughton and Michael Hagan around my footy club all the time. So you kind of got that influence directly. And then the other thing is, for those who are also geography geeks like me, Queensland's the most decentralised state. So we have the most rural towns, like we have the greatest population spread over these regional towns. And if you read into child development theory, they say that towns of between 0 and 10,000 people are perfect for creating elite sports people, because they'll be asked to step up at a younger age group to play older players. They'll have more access to open and free spaces to play footy. And another really interesting thing I found was you're more likely to have a coach, or maybe even just a member of the community, who sees you and thinks you're something special, and they'll tell you that, and they'll support you all the way through, because maybe there's only 20 kids in that town that they can support. Whereas if you go to the big city, say, a club like Redcliffe, although they've been quite successful and provided a lot of Origin players, if you're there, you might have 100 and something kids that you're up against, and to get a single mentor to be interested in you and follow you the whole way through your career, that's quite difficult. So I think because Queensland has so many of those towns in that 0 to 10,000 range, like Bundaberg, Roma, Mackay, etc. Actually, Mackay would be quite a bit more now, but back in those days, that's the reason, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because we're of the age, maybe me, not you, but it originated from us getting flogged by New South Wales. But that's not what drives us anymore, is it? It's exactly what you've said, because there's not many of us, obviously the older, but the kids don't relate to what happened in the 70s or 60s until the early 80s. So it's interesting how we've shifted from history to what's best for us now, I suppose, in rugby league circles, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, and I think a big thing you'll notice, obviously, over the last 10 years with Queensland is the amount of Pacific Islander players that have come in. And if you look at some of the places they grew up or where their family's from, they almost mirror those Queensland towns in a way. So like the place where Lottie Takiri grew up, it's only a very small place. And that very small town has produced something like, I think it's 20 elite rugby league and rugby union players from this one village. So you find places like that. Where Valentine Holmes is from, where his family's from in the Cook Islands, is basically a few huts. So I've traced back all that stuff, and that fascinates me, finding out exactly where their families came from. And you actually find a bit of history about the Pacific that we probably don't realise as Aussies day to day. And someone like, say, Josh Maguire, he's got Samoan descent, but that comes via German lineage who, there were wars in Samoa that the Germans were involved in. And I found all these things that I was probably, quite oblivious to. So
exactly, yeah. Well, and Luke Page obviously plays for PNG International as well, and it comes down here and now his love of, mate, I could talk to you all day. The Maroons is a wonderful book. Get out there and get a copy. I'm going to ask you now a stupid question. Who's going to win tonight?
Oh, mate, Queensland. For sure.
Queensland indeed. Mate, Rob Berg, always a pleasure, mate. Oh, and quickly, you got another one in the pipeline, another book?
I'd like to write one about the journey of the Latin Heat, how we've gone from basically introducing the sport to Latin America to this year's World Cup, the Women's World Cup being the first time a Brazil team has competed there. Yeah. But just a matter of whether I can generate enough interest in that globally as you can in the Maroons.
I think you could write a book about what's going to happen between now and kick-off with your 5 Brazilian mates, mate. That will be an interesting story. And what they have to say after the game would be even more intriguing to see what their thoughts are about this whole crazy thing that is Origin, mate. But congratulations on what you've been doing with the Heat in Brazil and that. And I what's his name? Wayne Bennett's book, Don't Let the Music Die on You. I don't think the music of rugby league is ever going to die on you, Rob Burgin. You're certainly an epitome. You've even got the maroon beard. It's all happening with the white number.
Same with you, John.
Okay, mate. All the best, Robbie. Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good old Robbie Burgin. There you go. The Maroons, mate. Your tip?
My tip for the State of Origin will be the Blues, comfortably, in first gear. Tedesco to score 2. Addo look like he's scoring 3. He's not even playing. That's how good that look.
There you go, folks. So if you can agree with the man with the maroon lips, you go for it, mate. But we are wearing blue, but I'm going to go for a Maroons win, see how they go, and I think they'll do well. Now, if you want to get that signed copy there of the Maroons book by Robert Burgin, all you have to do is make any comment you like on our Facebook page, and we will randomly pick anybody out. So any sort of comment you want, maybe a score line. Who's the better looking out of me and me? Go for your life. So
I'm going to one-up you there, John. If you want to win the competition, you have to share the post and then say who you think is better looking out of John and I. Share the episode and say who's better looking, and then you'll go in the draw to win.
Queensland League Scene, mate. What episode are we up to?
Episode 14.
There you go.
Last week we were worried about the superstitions, remember?
All right. I thought it might have been in episode 16 because that's the only points the Tigers scored, unfortunately, against the Bears. What an absolute shellacking. And it went against everything I said. This is all my fault, John Buchanan and the Brisbane Tigers. I said you were the real deal. You probably still are, but holy smokes, getting rumbled by 48 last week at Pizzey Park, unbelievable.
Mate, if you're quiet enough, you can hear the thud of the Tigers getting absolutely smashed at training this afternoon because they are working on their defence.
Burleigh Bears sit up pretty on top of the table.
And I said this last weekend. I said the Burleigh Bears will get them down there at Pizzey Park. They are been one of the best sides all year, and that just shows their true dominance.
Cutters bounce back, roll the Blackhawks by 10. They can win away from home, the Cutters.
Yeah, Cutters very impressive against the Blackhawks. I didn't see this one coming, to be honest, but it goes to show how versatile the Cutters can be. And, the Blackhawks have been great in the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, kudos to the Cutters getting a big win.
Yeah, Jack Mansky Oval, the Fortress has been broken. They lost their first 2 home games, as you remember, Taylor round 1 and 2. So the Hoodoo's back. Falcons, well, the misery for the Premiers just continues. Another loss, this time by 8 against the Falcons and at Bishop Park.
Yeah, it was a really big clash in the top of the table between the Devils and the Falcons, but they're going from strength to strength, the Falcons, and I can't wait to see them go against the Burleigh Bears and see what sort of clash that produces.
I know Lee Addison from RugbyLeagueCoach.com.au has done a couple of reviews, but I would like next week we might get him to do a look at what the Devils were like at the start of the season and what's happening mid-season and see what the difference is, because at the moment the Devils are just struggling and they're not carefully going to drop out of the top 8, and then it's a little less likely. I know Rowan Smith did want to talk about going back to his plays in pre-season, but at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to be in the conversation at all.
Well, we know Lee picks up on those little tendencies.
Yep.
We see scorelines. Lee also sees those tendencies that players have and coaches have that no one else does. So it'll be interesting to see his take on that.
Dolphins smashed the Jets, just then crossed the chalk, 54-zip.
Mate, even more impressive, I believe it was a 42-0 second half, 12-0 at the break, and the Dolphins lay on 42 in the second 40 minutes. So super impressive performance by Trey Fuller. Valence Tafare getting his first game in the Hostplus Cup. Dolphins 23 members will be looking forward to see him develop. So, things are pretty good over at Moreton Daily Stadium at the moment, and I can sniff a huge late season comeback.
There you go, and you've got the nostrils for it. Capras 24 over the Seagulls 22. Ron Stark over at Dunwich on Stradbroke on. The Capras, they had to do it tough, came from behind right at the end there and took the chocolates off the Seagulls, and what a ding-dong game that was over at Straddy. Yeah,
the tropical island vibes of Straddy might have played right into the Rockhampton-based Capras, who got a really strong win against the Seagulls, and that's probably their best win in a couple of weeks for the Capras and put them back on track leading into the tough part of the year. So important win for the Capras, and unfortunate for the Seagulls. Well,
so you've mentioned on the Capras had to fly there and then also jump in a bus, then get on the barge and get across to Dunwich, but I don't think they wouldn't mind the trip home.
No, the trip home would have been lovely on that barge, but well done to the Capras.
Another nail bite of the Seagulls, just pipping the Hunters. The Hunters, Lee Addison's going to have a look at the PNG Hunters, but this is a nail bite, a good win there for Tweed to hold off a very strong Roycroft Oval away side.
Yeah, the Hunters, when they get on a roll, they can really hard to stop. And in those nail-biting clashes, they just go up another couple of gears. So well done to the Tweedhead Seagulls for holding them out on the weekend. Another classic matchup down there between, the locals now, the Hunters and the Seagulls.
4 tries apiece, so it came down to it was a 1-point goal, 2 from 2, so there you go.
Well, I believe on the weekend, Lyndon McGrady actually brought up his 500th Hostplus Cup points. So 500 points to Mr. McGrady, so congratulations on that. And to the whole Tweedheads affiliation. He's been a stalwart of their side for a long time now, Lyndon McGrady. Now, John, you told us that we're going to have Lee Addison cutting up pictures and vision of the Hunters for this weekend's analysis.
I'll be interested in this one because the Hunters started off very, very poorly. They just started to come back. They just can't quite get the win. And it'll be interesting to hear what Lee has to say about the and remember they're away from home and they're here all the time, so it must be tough. But it'll be interesting to see what he has to say.
Well, I know Leroy has to talk about a month-long special he is running coming up shortly, so make sure you stay tuned for the details during that segment. Here he is, Mr. Leroy Addison. Yes, it is our mate Leroy Addison from RugbyLeagueCoach.com.au. Now, before we get stuck into the Hunters, Lee, talk to us about a little bit of a special you have for the rest of this month.
So, guys, as you know, I do analysis on here of various teams, every team in the Hostplus Cup, and then the last couple of weeks it's been the BMD Premiership. I'm prepared for anybody who watches Queensland League Scene. I will analyse your videotape for free, but you've got to do it this month. So get in touch with Queensland League Scene, send Queensland League Scene a message and send your email address, and I will analyse your team for you, regardless of what level it is, whatever level of the game. I'll also do that for individuals, but obviously if you're a child, if you're a junior, please get your parents to contact us rather than talking to children. So that's a free offer for the month of June. So get cracking and I'll be in touch and we'll sort out how we can do it.
Mate, how good is that? I wish I had that myself a couple of years ago. I might just send you some old clips.
Oh, mate, I've analysed you too much. I've got everything on you.
I bet you have. All right, let's move on to the Hunters and talk about all their stuff coming up. And did you analyse their game last weekend?
Yeah, I did. And what I also did was look back at the old analysis of South. You may remember it was the day I was flying back from England. I did some analysis on South. Now, just to jog yours and the viewers' memories, we talked that day about how the South's defence responds to the speed of the opposition attack, so that they defend quick. Just because the attacker attacking quick, they didn't do much to slow it down. And you may also remember South's also had a tendency to not manage the game very well. Well, I think this ties in with your tips, if I remember rightly, I think PNG have got a great chance this week, because even though they're struggling near the bottom of the ladder, I see a load of green shoots in their game. And when I talk you through the tape, I think you'll understand why.
Yeah, so Kel has hit play on the tape, and here we go.
Here we have a scrum. I don't know why we still have them in league, but anyway, look how strong they are when they run the football. Now, they're getting controlled a little bit there by the Tweed defenders, but they've still got the leg drive, still landed on the front. They run like their lives depend on it. And I love that about the PNG Hunters, and because they play the game so fast, they can get penalties, so they've just been piggybacked up the field. This is the start of the game. They started this game against Tweed like a house on fire. I do have a worry about how flat they are in attack. I think there's a lot of gaps in their technical structure that probably need to be advanced, and there's also something else that will come up in a moment that will make it clear to me and hopefully to the viewer why the PNG Hunters are languishing near the bottom of the ladder. So you can't, when you look at a team and you watch a team that are struggling, you think to yourself, are the team not fit? Well, they tick the fitness box, they tick the heart box, they tick the energy box, but you might have just noticed there that they just looked a little bit lost in that attacking set. They've finally got some structure and shape now, and it's only a bit of individual brilliance and they score. Now, look at the way they're reacting to the try. Now, I see this in a lot of teams that go up and down in their performances. They react too positively when things go well, and too negatively when things don't go so well. And this is one of the reasons that I think PNG this season might not be quite the team they have been in the past, because nobody's controlling the temperature and the game management as well.
I feel like the PNG, one of their strengths is the emotion they play with. They just play their heart each week. But as you've mentioned, it's also one of their weaknesses.
Yeah, so you've got to... Emotion is good, but it will only take you so far. You may have just noticed in the clips again then, they came at the Tweed side so fast that Tweed gave away another penalty. This is only their next set of the game, but you might have noticed a short ball there. They overcooked that a little bit. But look how they're rolling out. I love this player, number 6, but it's short ball, but look at that line from number 3 there. Look how they celebrate this try. So this is what I mean about their emotional side. They probably need a call to bring it back into onto a level, because this was the next set again. Look at the field position they got. They're all over Tweed at this stage. Yeah. They can make this 16 or 18-0, but look at the way this set ends. They've got a little bit more shape now in their attack. You can see the front man, back man option there. I do like it. It seems like they've settled into the game now. But I also mentioned you to the front ball earlier. They've overcooked it there, forward pass. And the Tweed defence were ready for it. Now watch them defend. And this is another reason why the Hunters have been coming unstuck. They defend with that same emotion. Every time somebody runs the ball in, their line speed is good. You should have seen the line speed early in the set, but sometimes they don't apply the composure needed in defence that you need to control rucks, to put your shoulder in the right place and your spacings, and they do things so up tempo all the time that they're sometimes in the wrong position. They're on their own goal line now, and number 4, I think it is there, decided he was going to jump out the line to solve it. He solved nothing because he misread it. Again, that's a passion thing, that's an emotion thing. Knowing when and when not to lead, and then look at that gap in the middle. The way they defend, they want to hurt you when you run. Yeah. When you tend to defend like that, you tend to turn your hips in because you're focused on the person rather than the ball, and that was evidenced in that try that went under the sticks there. And look, this is better structure-wise than some of the defences I've seen this year, but I do just feel that too many of the players at the minute are trying to solve the problem themselves. Did you see how quickly they ran off the ruck there? And now you don't want to be too concerned about massive tackles on your own goal line. What you need to do is just stop the opposition scoring. And again, they just overcook some things. They fly out a little bit. There was a decision there from that defender. He actually ran, if I'm coming to tackle you, Taylor, and you can, if I let you back inside me and come out there, then I've overrun. I've overcooked the defensive slide or the decision. It would have been better if he stayed on the inside shoulder. So, look, very energetic, very powerful team. Probably lacking a couple of game managers in there that can control the temperature of the game, say, well done, let's do that. Because if PNG would have kept doing what they were doing in the first 5-10 minutes of that game, the game would have been 80-0 PNG.
By half time.
By half time. I guess, their Achilles heel is they're just so, there's 0 to 100, and I think sometimes the best players play between 80 and 90 and can go to 100 at their choice, drop back down to 80 and 90, and I think that's probably the best way of wrapping it up there.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Lee, for that analysis on the Hunters. I've already backed them this weekend. I think that heart will get them over the top of the Magpies. Please do not forget, Lee has offered some one-on-one, hand-on analysis for anyone out there, player, coach. If you're a manager and you want to help out, contact Lee at rugbyleaguecoach.com.au or shoot us a message on Queensland League Scene, and we'll pass that on to Lee to get it done. Thanks very much, Lee.
Cheers.
Leroy at his best.
Always at his best, old Leroy. But let's have a look here at the Hostplus Cup ladder. Of course, the Bears comfortably out in the lead over the top of the Falcons. The Capras sneaked back into the top 4 with that win on the weekend. Devils, of course, coming down to 4th from 2nd. Tigers 5th, Winner Manly 6th, Blackhawks 7, and the Tweedhead Seagulls rounding out the top 8.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a look at the top of that ladder there, the Blackhawks the Bears with that big win against Tigers last week. Sorry to bring it up again, Kel, here, but you can see there's a 60-point difference there between first and second. Whether that comes into calculations at the back end of the year will be interesting, but the top 8 is there. The Dolphins knocking on the door, mate.
Absolutely. That's what I said a couple of weeks ago. They're a couple of good wins away from sneaking into the 8 and doing damage come September. So here they come, the mighty Dolphins.
Yeah, and then you've got the Cutters, Pride, Hunters, Magpies struggling in second last year's semi-finals, and the Jets yet to register a win there. But the Dolphins slapping on the door because they don't have knuckles.
They don't have knuckles, yeah.
That's right. All right, let's go through this weekend's round of fixtures. It's a full round. Last weekend, obviously, we had one game played at Tully. And this weekend, the Hunters up against the Magpies, 12th versus 13th. After seeing what Lee had to say, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. The Magpies really haven't showed us their best at all this year. I think the Hunters will be a bit more finely tuned after a close game to the Seagulls. I believe that the Hunters will get the Magpies in this clash.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see with the Hunters because with the Magpies, because of the Broncos having a bye because of the Origin, whether any players come back for that particular fixture. But I think the Hunters will probably be too strong down there at Bycroft Oval. The Jets, I don't see them getting any chocolates off or any chips off the Seagulls in the Tweed department this weekend.
No, I believe the flight of the aviaries, the Jets and the Seagulls will come to the Seagulls down at Tweed Heads.
Yeah, for once the Seagulls will get some poultry in their fins and the Jets will go down on that one. You like that?
Yeah, I do like that.
No, it's not too bad. Falcons up against the Bears, 1v2, top of the table. How juicy is this? Is this a prelude to the grand final, or will these guys will certainly probably meet in the semi-final? So bragging rights and motivation in this clash, mate?
Yeah, I mentioned how I can't wait to see this one in the review of the last round. This is going to give both sides a true indication of where they sit because they've been outstanding in the opening rounds of the competition. So I'm really looking forward to sitting down and watching this one myself. It's going to be a cracker.
Pride are at home. They're starting to build nicely. They sit in 11th spot. The Devils on 4th. They lose this one here. The Devils start to slide right out of calculations. And remembering that it's a top 8 format, you want to be in that top 4 with a second shot of the cherry there. But I'm going to go for a Pride at home here, even though they're on 11th spot.
For once, I agree with you, John. I think the Pride will be able to get the job done against the Devils. They just seem to be having that backslide we've all mentioned and spoken about. And the Pride, there's a real sense with them that they need to start getting going if they want to feature in the top 8 this year. So that'll be playing heavily on their minds. I think they have a bit more to play for, and they'll beat the North Devils in Cairns.
Capras against the Blackhawks, 3 versus 7th. Capras, you'd think they'd win at home, but there's just something about the Capras that if they're not on song, they'll like any club, I suppose. It's a stupid thing to say. They're not going to get one, but they'll need to show up. Blackhawks are different. They're in 7th spot, mate. They want to do some dancing, otherwise they're going to be struggling as well.
Well, the gap between the bottom 4 and the top 4 isn't a very big gap. It's 1 or 2 wins between them all, so you can drop back very quickly and move up very quickly. But look, this one's really hard to pick for me. The Capras, who had some great early season form, had that little bit of a dip. Now they're on the back again. But the Blackhawks, there's always that theory that that you lose a game you shouldn't have. The next weekend you come out firing harder than you'd ever imagined to get that win. So I think the Blackhawks will be primed for this match, and I think they might pull an ambush at Brown Park.
I'm going to take the Capras in this one at home, and hopefully they don't let me down. Cutters up against the Dolphins, 10 versus 9th. The Cutters at home. Taylor Brown, that's a big, big plus for the Cutters.
Mate, it'll be a couple of 10-8 rounds to the Dolphins here. I can't see them their mid-season form going backwards anytime soon. I think Trey Fuller, triple on the weekend. He's just in some lightning hot form. They've, of course, got Ronald Volkman and Dejan Arce come back from the Warriors. Bryce Donovan on the bench had a cracking game last weekend. I think the Dolphins will get the Cutters. The train will just keep on moving towards 23, mate.
Well, time will tell. I'm going to go for the Cutters at home. And the thing is, the Cutters obviously always seem to perform up at BB Prince Stadium, so that's why I'm going to go for the Cutters. Tigers up against the Seagulls. This is the match of the round. This is at KO9 now, and QLS. This will be played actually at BMD Cougarai Oval. So the game is at Tigers' home ground. I doubt they'll get the home dressing sheds, but anyway, that's another story. But the Tigers, they sit in 5th, Seagulls in 6th. Are they going to come out blazing, or are they going to kick rocks and struggle against the Seagulls, who also lost last weekend, but only by 2?
Yeah, look, I just mentioned before, sometimes when you lose a match you really shouldn't have, you come out firing and very aggressive the next weekend. Well, when you get 54 points put on you as well, you can come out pretty aggressive and angry. So they've had a couple of close matchups in previous meetings, But look, I just don't think that the Tigers can move a deficit like that and push the needle that far. I think the Winner Manly Seagulls have just gone down to a tough Capra side. They've been in the tougher battle. Yeah.
A BMD Cougarai?
I see the Seagulls getting the win at BMD Cougarai, absolutely. It's, yeah.
Correct. I think only just it might be 2 points in that one as well. The Maroons, mate. Your tip?
My tip for the State of Origin will be the Blues, comfortably, in first gear. Tedesco to score 2. Adokar look like he's scoring 3. He's not even playing. That's how good that look.
There you go, folks. So if you can agree with the man with the maroon lips, you go for it, mate. But we are wearing blue, but I'm going to go for a Maroons win, see how they go, and I think they'll do well. Now, if you want to get the signed copy there of the Maroons book by Robert Burgin, all you have to do is make any comment you like on our Facebook page, and we will randomly pick anybody out. So any sort of comment you want, maybe a score line, who's the better looking out of me and me, go for your life. So
I'm going to one-up you there, John. If you want to win the competition, you have to share the post and then say who you think is better looking out of John and I. Share the episode and say who's better looking, and then you'll go on the draw to win.
All right, it's Queensland League Scene. Thanks to our guests. A lot of footy on. Enjoy the footy, the State of Origin. Enjoy your local footy. Get out there and watch as much footy as you can. And at least the sun's out. It's a bit cooler. You're going to wear the beanie. You're going to wear the skivvy. See how we go. But thanks for your time, big boy.